Okay, we know that Avraham Avinu had three very special guests. Does anybody know who he had as his guests? Who? Malachim. Did Avraham know they were Malachim?
Yes.
No, he did not. He thought they were Arab travelers, which is why he said, you're going to wash your feet, because they used to worship the dust on their feet as an avodah zarah. And Avraham, did anybody know, what did Avraham give the Malachim? Anybody know? What? He gave them bread? And what else did he give him? He gave them milk. He gave them meat. He gave them a whole bunch of stuff. But you know what he said I'm going to give? He says, I'm going to take a little bit of water for you to wash your feet. I'm going to give you some bread, and you're going to sit under the tree in the shade. And because of that, in the Midbar, the Bnei Yisrael got the Be'er of Miriam. We had water. We had the mun. We had bread from Shemayim. And we had the Anani HaKavod, which was shade. What?
And he gave them also, mustard.
He gave them mustard because that's the best way to eat the tongue that he gave them. Absolutely. And when you're doing chesed, you want to do it the best possible way. So Abraham did a chesed to these three Arab travelers, and because of that, millions of people got water and food and a place to protect them from the sun and the weather. I'm going to tell you something that happened about 250 years ago. Today, Yudches Mar Cheshvan is the birthday of a very chashuv Rav, Rabbi Cheskel Landau. He was known as the Nod of Yehuda. And he had a story about chesed that I'm going to tell you right now. One day, he was coming home, and he saw a little boy crying. It wasn't a Jewish boy, it wasn't a boy from the Shul. He said to him, why are you crying? He says, my mother died a few years ago, and my father married a woman who's very mean to me. And my father's a baker, and every day she gives me 2 baskets of bread and rolls, and I have to go out and sell it. And sometimes it takes me till late at night, like tonight. And I'm so hungry because I haven't eaten anything. And I have to collect 30 coins, and I must have lost the money, or maybe someone stole the money, but I can't go home. If I do, she's going to yell at me, and she's going to hit me, and I'm so scared. So, Noid Yehuda says, come with me. And he takes him home. And he sits him down at the table. And he gives him a bowl of soup. He says, eat something. And he gave him some food. And then he went into his office and he came back with money. He says, now you can take your 30 coins and you can go home. You won't be hungry anymore. And everything will be great. The boy had a smile from ear to ear. And he went home. A few years later, it was Achron Shel Pesach, the last night of Pesach, and the Noid Yehuda is sitting in his home. He's learning. Everyone else went to sleep, and there's a knock on the door. Soft knock. And he opens the door, and there's a young man, maybe a teenager, and he says, can I help you? He says, don't you remember me? I'm the boy that you took care of that day when I lost my money. He says, oh yes, I remember. Come in. He says, nobody can know that I'm here. He says, every year, after Pesach, the Jews buy their bread from the non-Jewish bakers, because after Pesach, you don't have any bread, or you don't have flour to make the bread. And even though we normally try to eat Pas Yisrael, but after Pesach they were allowed. He says, well, let me tell you what my stepmother came up with. She thought of a fantastic way to get rid of all the Jews in Prague on one day. All the bakers made up, they're going to put poison in the bread that you guys buy. And then says, and I just wanted to warn you, but no one can ever know what happened. And then he ran away in the night. And the Noid Yehuda is very shaken. He can't tell anybody what's going on, but what's he going to do? So the next morning he said an announcement, this afternoon I'm giving a shiur and everybody has to come. And all over it, everybody has to be there. And he got up and he started to cry. He says, Rabbi, since the time of Chazal, we know the generation gets smaller and smaller, and this year a terrible mistake happened. We made a mistake in the calendar, and we started Pesach one day too early. So absolutely, chas v'shalom, nobody's to eat any chametz until after tomorrow night. We have to keep Pesach a 9th day. And people thought that was a little strange, because we have a calendar, we know, but if the Noid Yehuda said it, that they were going to listen. And so the next day, when all the bakers were expecting people to come buy their bread, nobody came, because the Jews were keeping another day of Pesach. And the Noid Yehuda went to the police chief and he told him, I want you to check out this bread. I think there's a plot. And they tested the bread, and in fact they found there was so much poison that one slice could have killed someone. And they arrested the baker, and they found out who was behind it, and they were all punished, and the Jews were all saved. How did we find out this story? Note Yehuda kept the secret for many, many years. Shortly before he died, he called his son Rav Shmuel, and he says, let me tell you about that long Pesach. And he said, this is the boy that came, and he told him the whole story. And he says, and you know what's amazing? It wasn't my chachma that saved everybody. It was that I took pity, I had rachmanas on this little boy who was crying. That is the power of chesed. When you give chesed to other people, you get back a lot more in return. Goodbye.